Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Dabo Swinney, the Clemson Tigers, land a massive commitment in the 2025 class and one of the top edge rushers in the 2025 cycle in Ari Watford coming from Virginia. And you start looking at what Clemson is doing in this 2025 class, a top 5 recruiting class right now, trending for a lot of top targets. This 2025 class looks like it could really be special for Dabo Swinney and the Clemson Tigers, and a guy like Ari Watford, kind of getting familiar with some of these prospects in the 2025 class as we kind of focus on this next cycle. I mean, Ari Watford is one of those guys that is extremely exciting for a multitude of things. One, every single trait that you want in an elite edge rusher, Ari Watford has, right? 6'5", he's up to 235 pounds, phenomenal athlete getting off the football. You'll see that on the film when we get into it. He's a guy that has a ton of length, and you want to see him use that length a little bit more, and I'm sure he's going to get coached up when he gets to Clemson. But most importantly, in the conversation that I don't think gets nearly had enough with these edge rushers, everyone wants to talk about the pass rush. And yes, you want your quality edge rushers to be able to get after the passer. What are they doing in the run game? Ari Watford takes on blocks extremely well, is very, very good at maintaining leverage, not letting people bounce it out on him on the outside, and can operate in space. And you look at the modern day of college football, where all these offenses want to attack the edge defenders in space. When you get a guy like Ari Watford, who is as long and athletic as he is, I mean, those are the type of guys you want at that edge position. Massive get for the Clemson Tigers. Want to get into the film on Ari Watford, talk a little bit about what he is bringing to this Clemson defense, and then take a sneak peek at what Clemson is doing in this 2025 class. It sounds like it might be a busy next couple of weeks and months for the Clemson Tigers on the recruiting trail. Before we get into it, just want to say thank you to you guys. And many of you all know, if you guys have been listening for a long time, this is one of my favorite aspects of college football, covering the recruiting trail, of evaluating different forms of talent acquisition. It's going to be a blast the next couple of weeks. The amount of support you guys have shown, it really does mean a lot. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll be doing our best to keep you guys as updated as possible on the Clemson Tigers, on the recruiting trail. And without further ado, want to get into Ari Watford. And again, I think the two conversations you want to have with Ari Watford is, one, he is a guy that he's already a really good football player, right? As a sophomore, had 12 sacks. As a freshman, only playing in 2 games, had 5 sacks. He's already produced on the college, on the high school football field. He's already a good football player, but what excites you the most is what he can be as he continues to develop, because he is still a raw athlete, but he has every physical trait that you want, right? 6'5", up to 235 pounds, elite athlete, elite length. But more importantly, when I was watching the film on him earlier this morning, you kind of realize how good he is in open field and against the run. I mean, playing with good leverage, keeping that outside shoulder free. It's a conversation that doesn't get had enough. And I think Ari Watford really brings that to the Clemson Tigers. And you start firing up the film, you see it, you kind of see him win in a multitude of different ways. One, splitting the double team here, being an athlete in space, making a play on a running back in space. This is a guy that knows how to operate in space. You can do a lot of different things with him. When it comes to dropping him in the flat and asking him to make a play in space on running backs, he can certainly do that. You see that on the film. He's got phenomenal get off and a ton of length. Now he's going to block a punt here. You're just going to get a sense of, one, the length that he has, and 2, his get off from the football. And this is a very twitched up athlete that has length. And those are the 2 things that you want in your edge defenders. And you have a guy in Darian Mayo coming in with a ton of length as well. This Clemson Tigers defense is going to have a lot of length and a lot of horsepower up front for the next couple of years. You see a little high snap here, gets in the backfield, goes out and makes a play on the football here. I love what Clemson's doing, and this kind of just popped into my mind here. You have like TJ Parker, Peter Woods, 2 freshmen who look like they're going to be game wreckers for the next couple of years at Clemson. You bring in a guy like Sammy Brown in that 2024 class. You take a look at what Clemson's front 7 is going to look like for the next couple of years. I mean, that's how Clemson's defense has been so dominant, and it looks like it's going to continue. And again, you see the athleticism in space here, playing that option very well, causing a bad pitch, getting on the fumble, kind of just a game wrecker, a playmaker, if you will, and a guy that can line up on the inside. You see that ability to move laterally and go use that length and athleticism and go track down, get a negative play. This is a guy that can impact the game from a multitude of spots. Again, seeing him shade inside on the tackle, working on a guard here, and just using that athleticism, get in the backfield and make a play. You look at Clemson in the 2025 class, I mean, they're starting to build a really impressive class here. Ari Watford committed, top 30 national prospect. You have Gideon Davidson, one of the top running backs. Amari Adams, another phenomenal defensive lineman. You continue to scroll down, and you have your quarterback of the 2025 class locked in as well, and Blake Hebert, who a guy that we talked about when he committed to Clemson. This must have been 6 months ago. This is a guy that's a box checker, right? 6'3", 205 pounds, a phenomenal arm, very good athlete, can extend plays. He's a guy that I think will be out as one of the top quarterbacks in the 2025 class in the next couple of months as things continue to play out. There was a reason Clemson moved on Blake Hebert so early. I think he's a quarterback with a ton of traits, and you look at what Clemson is doing, not only on the high school recruiting trail, but as a program as a whole, and as much flack as, I mean, even sometimes I give Dabo Swinney for not adjusting to the times of college football. He's doing it his way, but he is adapting more than we think, right? He brings in a guy like Garrett Riley to help run the offense. He brings in a guy, like Matt Luke to get this Clemson offensive line right heading into 2024. And we just broke down the Clemson offensive line yesterday. And then you look at him taking an evaluation of his roster. What does he do in 2024? Brings in two of the top wide receivers in that class with TJ Moore and Brian Wesco, a position that you really wanted to see Clemson go out and get. So for the narrative that Dabo Swinney and this Clemson program are stuck in their ways, one, their ways have worked for a very long time. But you are seeing Dabo Swinney get a little bit more adaptive. And I think that's a huge thing for this Clemson Tigers program and the Clemson Tiger fans. And you look at what they're building in this 2025 class. We'll continue to break down these commitments, but I think a lot of Clemson fans have a lot of reason to be excited about what Clemson is building in this 2025 class. Wanted to hop on, talk a little Ari Watford again, one of my favorite edge rushers in this 2025 class. Appreciate you guys rocking with the boys. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.